Hello, my name is Cole Thompson. I'm a former officer with the Department of Corrections. I ended up behind bars myself, got out, and had to start life from scratch because I finally saw the injustice for what it was. Actions taken against humanity and society itself. Sometimes people come out of there and they don't change. It just becomes their way of life. And it's true for so many of them. They're angry at the whole world. Why? Well, imagine this. A man serves 10 years. He walks out, he's lost absolutely everything. He doesn't know where to begin. Of course he's bitter. Plus, maybe his parents or relatives turned their backs on him. Maybe his wife left with the kids. Everyone's got their own story, their own situation, and that's when a person becomes bitter toward the entire world. Let me give you a real example. You're all drivers, right? Fatal DUI accident. Say some drunk guy's stumbling down the road and you hit him, kill him. Right there, you've got a sentence hanging over your head. Whether it's probation, prison, or work release, you're getting a conviction either way. Now imagine you had a good job, a solid position, a family, and then boom. And on top of that, there's pressure from the system. I mean the psychological pressure, the physical force they put on you. Let me put it this way. The people inside who work there, they're given power. They feel it. They think they're in charge. They humiliate you. And the reality is you can't do anything about it. They think they can play with human lives. Then they walk out past the fence at the end of their shift. They're hiding around corners because they're scared someone's going to take them out. You understand? If a person was convicted on legitimate grounds, based on actual facts, then yes, they should be punished. I served time too. It was my fault. I admitted my guilt. I know what I did wrong and I owned up to that mistake. I stood in that courtroom without a lawyer. Didn't have one at all. So basically, I was in the car business. Someone gave me cash. I went and bought an expensive car worth over $95,000. And then I wrecked that car. Had to pay back what I owed on it. I sold my apartment, sold my own car, went into debt on top of that. Because I didn't pay those debts back on time to other creditors, they filed complaints and spun the whole thing as wire fraud. That's what they locked me up for. Before that, I worked at the city marshal's office in Riverside. Back when everyone was mixed together in general population, there were a lot of deaths. Imagine this, a judge who sent away 100 people sitting right there with them. Obviously, someone's going to go after him. Cases like that weren't rare. That's why they decided to separate the whole structure. Everything's different now. That's the first thing. And second, there's a separate facility for this, what they call special housing. The difference between that and regular lockup is just that these particular people are in there. You're nobody. If yesterday you wore a badge and today you're sitting in there, you're not a person. And most people think that way, about 80% of the staff. They can hit you and nothing happens to them because they'll make sure nobody sees it. Take school life, for example, and compare it to prison life. It's basically the same thing. Why? Because you're in a closed environment, and they'll humiliate you the same way if you're weak in spirit. The group, the mass, the society, the herd, it devours the weak first. But here's the difference in prison. You can't fight back. If you do, they'll pile on another charge. And a lot of people, even strong ones, they just take it. There was this one guy they broke down over 2 weeks. Honestly, it was heartbreaking. The man wanted to kill himself. No, I didn't end up there. I wasn't sent to special housing. I was supposed to go there right away, 2 weeks after I got to the detention center. I stayed on to work at the county detention center in Riverside. Why did I stay? First, because it was close for my family to visit. And second, I've got a daughter, and I needed to work so at least some money could go to her. The world inside and the world outside that 20-foot wall topped with barbed wire, you look out the window and you think freedom's right there, close enough to touch. But no. You've still got, say, 1,200 days ahead of you. And that's terrifying. Truly terrifying. In prison, you don't curse. And actually, by the rules, when someone new arrives, a fresh fish, they explain the rules to him. Rules of conduct, rules about what you can say, what you can't, what you can do, what you can't do. They lay it all out for him. After that, if he still crosses the line, then yeah, he'll be held accountable. From the staff, I mean from administration, there wasn't really humiliation. They looked at me cautiously because, well, I wore a badge too. I'm probably not some idiot. I could see exactly how all of this worked. But the ones who never accomplished anything in life, those were the ones who'd start running their mouths. Sometimes you'd have to settle things with your fists. This was August 22nd, 2019. I was in my cell. Before that, I'd spent 10 days in solitary. I'd beaten up 2 guys who weren't, let's say, very friendly toward me. They put me in solitary on August 9th, let me out on the 19th. Then on August 20th, the guard comes in and says, "Cole, they're calling you." They called me in, told me I was going home. I didn't understand. How home? I had no idea what was happening. So I come back to my cell and the guys are like, "All right, man, good luck." At 5 in the afternoon, they let me out past the gate. I didn't know where I was. I literally had no idea what to do, where to go. My parents were waiting for me at home. My girlfriend was waiting. But that whole understanding, I didn't grasp it, not until I got home. When my family met me, my loved ones, with food on the table and everything, that's when I started breathing again. But honestly, it took me 6 months to really adjust. You've got to live, you've got to work, you've got to earn money, you've got to take care of yourself, clothe yourself, and a lot of people are scared of exactly that. And the state should be addressing this. But it won't. It never will, because honestly, once they release you past that fence, they don't care what happens to you next. They filed their report, checked their box, collected their bonus, and they're done. What do they even get paid for in that system for locking people up? You closed a case, you won it. And when I saw people who got out and then came back a month later, I'd ask them, "Why'd you come back?" They'd say, "Because nobody's waiting for me at home. I've got nothing to eat, nothing to wear." And you know, something just hit me inside. Why aren't there people who can help someone like that? I decided to create a simple platform. There's a database of employers, psychological support, legal help if you need it. My project is called the Fresh Start Initiative. It's specifically aimed at helping people like this, their families, their kids. Anyone can just call and say, for instance, "Mum, my father, my son, my mother is getting out. We need help." And we show up. For this, I think, it doesn't take much, the will to help, and a little bit of effort. I found myself a partner, Derek Harrison, plus my sister works with me on this project, and together we're all doing one thing. But it's a really good thing. Prison reforms people, if someone truly made a mistake in life and they understand it, they recognize their error, they'll change. Not because of prison, but because of their own desire to live, if that's what they really want. If they want to start a family, if they want a stable life and not to drift from one prison to the next. There's nothing interesting in there. You've got to see the world while you're alive.